And finally, CouchCoop come through with another platformer video. Top Gamepass platform games available currently for the month of September. I don't think anything major is coming off for this month, so all of these games will be about at least until the end of the year. And we're going to start with a game called Spiritfarer. This is weird because when you search by platformer within the Game Pass or the Xbox app, this comes up within the search. Now, it's not technically a platformer. I don't bill it as one. It's something else incredible, and it really should be looked at. It's very non-player character focused. What I mean is there's a lot of people and writing and story in this game. You travel around, you are given some quite taxing platform sections, you open up a double jump, there are a lot of perks to be had within that direction, but this game really relies on its story, its good writing, its good environment, mini games. It's also, can you believe this, 2-player couch co-op, local 2-player couch co-op. I reviewed it on one of my 5-year special videos, link in the script. Be warned, the content of this game is not shallow with the subject matter, so it's not really for tiny ones, but that means that it's got depth, that means that it's got longevity, and it's also got some quite adult themes. There's a crafting / building section to it where you actually construct your boat with kitchens, bedrooms, quarters for all of the cool new non-player characters you gather on this journey. Spiritfarer is incredible, bit low on this list because it's a platforming list. If this was a couch co-op list, it would be right at the top. Unravel 2 slams in, and what a great game, and pure coincidence that this again is a couch co-op and one of the better couch co-op platforming experiences available on the systems. A brilliant sequel, aesthetically gorgeous, almost in a miniature world with normal everyday objects being massive. It is so well done with that when you get into the town and the parks. Just a beautiful game to watch. I'm always saying this, that when I do the replays or when I look at the videos or the editing, I'm just so gobsmacked at what I'm seeing. You don't get to concentrate on some of these beautifully detailed graphics when you're actually playing these games, and this one is no exception. Unravel 2 is quite puzzle focused. It's not an arcade platformer, and that may be your thing, and of course that's a lot more fun when there's two people around. Working out these puzzles, splitting up Yarny, using the whip and the swing mechanic, which is a very healthy, great bit of coding. You feel so much freedom when you've got that lasso thing going properly. Definitely worth considering. It's not huge on Gigabyte, and it's probably some of the best looking side-scrolling platform graphics we've seen in a while. Unravel 2. Okay, so this title is firmly in the direction of the arcade platformer / shooter. Now what I'm aiming for with this list is to try and put games in that really hit that nail on the head with that retro feel, with that lovely flow, all of those sort of key wants and elements from some of those older platform classics, but I also want that modern twist with it all. It's quite demanding, but Neon Abyss is really clever because it does pull in some of this roguelike additional content that you're seeing in new indie games, but it's got a hardcore twin stick element to it. Think Fury Unleashed, but you've got a jump button that is on such a strange place on the pad. I'm still getting my head around this. It just doesn't feel right having your R2 button or L2 button as jump, but you need that other thumb freed up for the firing. So there's quite a lot going on. It's got a great system with eggs and buddies giving you perks. Some of the eggs hatch out just to be badasses. Most of them don't even hatch at all when I play. And I am firing a cat gun. Neon Abyss is kind of securing its place in the great roguelike list. It's really popular on stream, and people speedrunning this game or going to endgame and seeing what they've unlocked and some of the weapons and power up. There's a hell of a lot of content here, but it just isn't that easy, and be prepared to die. Back to the modern aspect, and what I do love is massive amounts of boss rerolls, massive amounts of procedural map generation and loot drops, and of course you've got that system you see in Enter the Gungeon or Fury Unleashed, which is a map tile where you can take various different exits, teleport back to where you've been on the map to save you time. You guys know how this all works. Man, I had a hard time capturing this game. This is over on Steam, this footage. Obviously it's available on Gamepass, but I didn't want to install it twice, so I thought I'll hop over there. If you all know my capture issues with the PC, so this had to be I had to dupe it into recording. Normally I would backtrack my recording, and if something cool happens, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to capture that. But with this, I had to record and then play, so I wasn't always doing very well. Holy crap, this is a good game. An almost identical system to Neon Abyss, room-to-room clearing combat, but this one has a dash/slash on the R buttons, which allows you to get through the air. You're never really touching the ground. The whole idea is to chain up combos. You can see down there in the bottom right, you get this like score, and you can cash that all in. So much to unlock, man, and the bosses, everything is top-notch with Scourge Bringer. Or is it Scourge? I'm never too sure on that one, but it's the second time I've had this game on the channel. It got very good rewards when it came to its retro nods and its pace and sound. The game goes at 150 miles an hour and is ridiculously difficult. Obviously, I'm only in the first quarter as per, but I have strong feelings about this gameplay and how cool and empowering it makes you feel. It also gives you this tiny bit of range, and it's perfect drip feed amount of power-ups and specials to keep you and the people you're fighting guessing. Scourge Bringer. Yeah, big moment for me. This is first time for Ori on the channel, full stop actually. Got the original years ago, and Will of the Wisp is now available on Game Pass, and holy shit. So this is what you need to, I have been doing, is pulling it over onto the 4K TV. I'm running it at 1080 on my monitor sort of for day-to-day stuff because I get that nice high frame rate, but you need to see this game in 4K. It's absolutely stunning. Probably got some of the best artwork I've ever seen from a AA studio, and the puzzles, enemies, the platforming, this is kind of some of the highest level aesthetics I've seen in any platforming game. Kind of reminds me of Hollow Knight with its map system, and it also reminds me a lot of the original. They have not deviated too much from that game map, which is not a bad thing. It's got great characters, it's got great environments. The original had kind of a mean difficult spike in it with this funny dark cave that you had to do a lot of platforming blind with. This one's got a nice slope. I'm actually really enjoying its introduction and the new enemies and weapon types. I love the range, arrow, and some of the puzzles related to that. Almost got a Spirited Away haunting tragedy in the background as well, with an excellent introduction, no spoilers, and some quite adult character themes and setups. It's tragic, dark, joyful, and eye-opening with what tech can do with these smaller games and making them look as pretty as this. Holy shit, I've just realised that Cuphead's not on this list and had to just double check the Game Pass. Whew, that was close. I just realised that that probably would have been in the top 3, but obviously I've got it on the PlayStation 4 and on the Switch. Holy crap, I've got it on Steam as well, so yeah, I've given the Cuphead people enough money. Back to Ori, and this is definitely one of the games on this list I want to finish. I want to see how that story ends. I want to see more characters and environments. Stunning, beautiful, must be looked at. Ori and the Blind Forest and the Will of the Wisps and that. My god, so talking of speed running and retro, just die-hard addictiveness. I think Celeste is probably the industry leader for popularity and just people who have a love for this genre, love a bit of punishment, really want to get their heads around a tight platforming mechanic. Celeste is just amazing on that front. It's kind of very famous for its difficulty and of course its nice quick restart. Game completely understands that you're going to want to instantly get back on it. But it's grueling AF. and coming off a game like Ori and the Blind Forest and then looking at these visuals, it's kind of a bit of a shock to the system, but it's higher than Ori because it adheres to all of the ticks that I'm looking for in this genre. Hardcore difficulty, beautiful 8 to 16-bit graphics, a nice system with the map and missions, clear objectives, and just having an amazing reward system that makes you nearly cry because the levels are so difficult. This really feels like a game that could have benefited from some couch co-op in it. I mean, because of those screens are static, you could have 2 players loading in. It would be a lot more fun. My god, you'd have twice as many deaths. You could share the deaths maybe. I love the idea of Celeste, but playing it for me is really difficult because I'm getting older now. And I'm losing patience with dying every 2 seconds, and also the trial and error system. But it's very high, and don't let any of that detract you. You know if you're going to be into this sort of material, and of course it's sitting there on Game Pass, and it's kind of a genre leader. You got to look at it. Whether I'll get anywhere near finishing it or whether I'll get anywhere near mid-game is another kettle of fish. I am struggling with the first quarter. That sounds familiar story, but there's a lot of love here and there's a lot of content here. It's tiny, don't even think it's a gig. The character model themselves, when they teeter on the edge, the little design within the sprites and those pixel selections, absolute gorgeousness. Now, talking of gorgeousness, we do have the amazing Guacamelee 2 on Game Pass. This is another couch co-opper, and this is one that I've held in very high regards for years. Its appearance is so unique. I love all of the voices, writing and themes, some of the cutscenes, animations and story. The villain is so funny, and having this with 4 people is kind of a mind blower. I recommend it for 2, and I recommend opening up the game in the first hour and a half before you even get anyone involved on a couch co-op level. It's kind of got a slightly annoying front end to it with some unskippable levels which are dovetailed into a compulsory tutorial. I actually didn't spot some of the Easter eggs in it on my first playthrough. It's a really nice limbo level which pops up. It's only around for about 10 seconds. Quite harrowing to be fair, but it's great to see the game acknowledge other platforming greats. Fuck, Limbo's not on this list. But of course it's the 3 C's for me: combat, combat, combat. And this one delivers in droves. Blends it all in perfectly with the puzzles in the game. Doesn't feel like it's puzzle heavy or combat heavy, even though I would totally love this game to not have any puzzles in it and it just be a massive brawler with like cut off rooms and multiple boss fights. You do get some really epic stuff come up on endgame, and of course the outfits. I completely forgot about that. You've got like so many unlockable characters to go through and look at. Totally hilarious. And I do love the alternate universe that you switch in and out of or can only attack enemies in. To have all of this on a flawless 1 to 4 player couch co-op level on all the systems and get this, it's drop in, drop out. It's really clever with that once you've got that damn tutorial out of the way. Someone can just come in the room and join you. It's really cool. And that throw mechanic, the way they've integrated that into the puzzles and the combat, so cool. Guacamelee DOS. Alright, we're coming up to meat and potatoes time, and this is Katana Zero. This one I had a bit of an epiphany with. This has got a soundtrack that is nearly better than Hotline Miami. How crazy is that? And it's from Devolver. That tune at the beginning, that's one of the tunes from this game. It completely blew my mind with how good the music is. It's kind of on a par with how good a hack and slash side-scrolling platform game this is. It's deliberately trying to play up to as many 80s samurai ninja cliche storylines as it possibly can. It's absolutely awesome. Every level has its own song and every level kind of has its own story. The bosses are well crazy. They're integrated in a lot of how you're doing things within the game. It's quite suspect. When you die, there's a rewind, almost a directorial piece of narrative. This game's got a lot under the bonnet. You have a time slowdown capability, obviously, and this will increase your melee attack power as well, so you can sort of time and line things up, a little bit like Ghost Runner, and also a sprinkling of sort of cyberpunky tech to go in for good measure. Oh yeah, and the gore. It's got that Devolver gore everywhere. Devolver, for me, they kind of smash it loads. They did Carrion, their live presentations they do at E3, the actress that plays the CEO, it's just, I mean, some of it is nothing short of like nightmarish acid-soaked lunacy. I love it. What I will say about Katana Zero is some of its content people might find a little bit too story driven. A lot of its arcade side scrolling hack and slash roots, they're not always there because of the game really wants to concentrate on giving you not only a funny but quite exciting bunch of characters and story arc. So Katana Zero is so recommended on Gamepass. That piano intro for me just conjures an image of like a middle-aged man-child just sitting on the toilet. He's got his switch in his hand and it's just slowly panning out. There's like one tear because he's just died on the 125th time on a mid-level boss in Hollow Knight. Holy shit, that man is me.
Chocolate, correct this.
Don't need to go on about it, Sean, do we? I mean, Christ alive. I think it was free on PlayStation Network as well. I think there's any way you could have avoided being offered this game for free recently, which is so good. And those guys have got some new stuff, haven't they, coming out? What a incredible legacy Hollow Knight has carved out on the indie game scene. You just waves of destruction behind it because people have lost their shit to try and finish this game. If you don't know, now you know. It is roguelike and it has got Dark Souls elements, weirdly. It's got like a bonfire system, respawns, discovering maps, NPCs that go back to your base, loads of different subquests and side quests and secret story arcs. I think Hollow Knight's lore is nearly as famous as its tight gameplay model as well. It is hard, it's supposed to be hard, but it is very rewarding and it does give you a lot of variety with solutions. When it comes to your power-ups, you can get this massive ball that comes flying out of you. You get a double jump and an air dash at one point where being airborne is a lot easier. Different levels of the map, Metroidvania, are opened up after getting all your gear. So loads of brilliant game angles put together to make this an ideal side-scrolling platformer. Alright Dead Cells, let's be having you a bit of a brag and a confession. Let's do the flexing first. I own this game more times than I really need to, because at one point I wasn't prepared to go anywhere without it within a couple of meters of me. I got so obsessed with Dead Cells. That new content's absolutely amazing. You know, one of the best things about running a channel like this and making these lists, sometimes I need an excuse to go back to these games because Dead Cells is really difficult and it's very punishing. And with my roster, I've got so much choice with games that when I think, oh my god, we're gonna have to do a new platform list because Game Pass has got all this wicked stuff on it, I just cannot wait to dig this up and start playing it again. Like sitting here for 2 hours to get some good footage and finding out some new weapons, and I think I unlocked the kick, which is so great. All just testament to how great a game this is, with its longevity and its variety, with the rerolls and the weapon systems, and having that choice on the levels going up to the ramparts, I think, or the sewers, and the rooftops and stuff, and doing different runs different ways, having that speed running element to it, where it's like if you just dash past everything in level 1, you get access to a hell of a lot more power-ups to go into level 2, but you could hang around in level 1 and actually just power yourself up manually by looking for cool nuggets within that level map itself. So the controls, you do have a shield option. That depends on whether you actually find a shield, but you've got a roll, an attack and a range button. So it's kind of bow and arrow with a sword. You can deal with stuff that's miles away, then things get hectic, you use your close quarters stuff. But the pickups mix this theory up, and your range weapon may not have that much range. It might be like a Molotov, and then your actual melee weapon may just have a bleed effect on it. The two combined are devastating, but one on its own isn't. It's so much going on with its mechanics on the buff front when it comes to picking up these random drops and power-ups. With that in mind, you also have an element system with electricity and water and of course poison and of course fire. So holy crap. And we're looking at a random encounter with an elite zombie. Lewis, Matt, this thing went invisible. I cannot believe it got me. And that's the thing, it's probably got one of the best permadeath systems. By that I mean you don't get nothing. It is over. If you screw up, it's over. You do have obviously the stuff at the hub, and between each level you get the opportunity to buff up, but you kind of throw that whole build in the bin, and that's why the devastation is so strong with Dead Cells. Now, Dead Cells is number 2 on this list, by the way, and everyone I think is going to get a little bit annoyed with my number 1, but I kind of need to position why it's up there. And of course, this is a Game Pass list, remember, so this is all about stuff that is exclusive to Game Pass currently for September, so the next game on the list is definitely adhering to that. Okay, I am putting Physconauts 2 at number 1. Now, just put down the beer bottle, okay, because I want to talk about Physconauts 1, Tim Schafer, Double Fine. I remember doing a video in 2019 when I was talking about the buyout from Microsoft, and of course us PlayStation 4 owners never being able to see the Physconauts sequel. 16 years it's been in the making. This isn't a cutscene, by the way. This is some in-game stuff going on. I am so gobsmacked with this game's look and the way it runs that there's barely any other 3D platforming game out there that I feel is as strong as Physconauts 2 visually. It's a bit of a trendsetter. I'm coming to see you, ma! Let's have a think. We've got Mario Sunshine, we've got Spyro, we've got Hat in Time, actually, which I really thought Game Pass should or will get hold of soon. But there's some of the stronger 3D platformers out there. Physconauts 2 is definitely within that echelon. We've also got the new Ratchet and Clank game, which isn't too dissimilar from this either. Now here's the kicker, that's 70 quid. I think 65 or around that mark. It's a very expensive game and it's not really breaking any molds when it comes to the Ratchet and Clank series. To have Game Pass and this on day one is really making me feel quite special. Sony's not doing too good a job on that front. I had to get my mate to go into the Mall of the Emirates, 4,000 miles away, and buy a blasted top-up over the counter in Virgin, and then text me the code because they will not move on adjusting that country system on that profile. And that's ridiculous in this day and age. Zaki, I owe you a couple of Michael Jacksons.
Who are you protecting?
Also, we will get to back to Physconauts 2 in a second. The Sony showcase that we had a couple of days ago, it was even one day ago, there was a handful of games on there that I was interested in. A handful from at least, what, 25? Knights of the Old Republic, why couldn't they show us any footage of that? If that's a remaster, that's going to take years. Project Eve, I think it was, the woman in the luminous leotard. Anyway, I was obviously not bowled over by it because I haven't made a video shouting and screaming about how many bombs they dropped. A Wolverine game. Let's get back to what we're looking at. Let's talk about Tim Schafer. I reviewed a game called Knights and Bikes recently, which again, equally adorable dialogue and characters. I was reading an article the other day about CGI, Pixar level of sort of gameplay within new generation systems and consoles, and this thing looks like an absolutely gorgeous Netflix cartoon. Even the character modeling and facial animations and their dialogue, it's just high-end production when you get to the cutscenes, interiors, all the different environments, some of the reflections that are going on in the game. It feels expensive. It looks like it's had so much love spread all over it.
And it's diamonds! Diamonds for the win!
Yes, it was Psychonauts 2 for the win. I've been Couch Coop. I'll see you down there.